Hello, welcome to On the Job. My name is Arthur Kravitz. Today we're going to talk about medical treatment if you're injured at work. And one of the biggest problems in New Jersey with injured workers when they are hurt is that they can't pick their own doctor. Unfortunately, under New Jersey law, the employer decides the medical treatment. However, there are some things you can do to make that experience better for you and to protect yourself. First thing is, when you see the doctor, don't assume he's working against you. Try to work with him and try to see that he knows that he can work with you. Second, let him know what you do for a living. Doctors work in things called baselines. They want to get you back to your baseline. So if your job is an active, heavily physical job, your baseline would require you to lift and do heavy work. Whereas a sedentary person like me, the baseline is sitting here in this chair. The doctors aren't going to be quite so motivated. The second thing is, make sure that you disclose all of your prior medical problems. Make sure that you disclose if you've injured the knee before and you've injured it again. The disclosure doesn't mean you won't get medical treatment. Quite the contrary. If this injury aggravated a prior problem, you are just as entitled to medical treatment and benefits as if it never happened before. But the failure to disclose those prior medical problems will lead the doctor to be suspicious of you. The insurance companies search for prior medical problems, and they may even use the existence of the prior medical problems, if you fail to disclose it, as proof that you're hiding something. So that's the last thing you want to do. The third thing is, even if you do not like the doctor you are seeing, do not go to your own physician. If you go to your own physician, you run into several problems. The first is that your own physician may not see you if they know it's a work-related injury, because they know that your private health insurance may not cover. The second is that if you are placed on narcotic medications, there may be the suggestion that the reason you are trying to go to your own doctor is to double up on those narcotic medications. We've had that problem before. Next, when you see the doctor, make sure you complain about everything that's wrong with you. Even if part of you has just an ache and pain, mention that ache and pain. Because if you don't mention it, down the road, if you have continued problems, the doctor's going to say, well, you never mentioned it to me. So make sure that you mention everything that's wrong with you every time you go to see the doctor. Doctors may at certain times place you on restricted duty. Make sure that they spell out what that restricted duty is. If a doctor says you have restricted duty and you hand a slip that says restricted duty to your employer, chances are pretty good he's going to ignore it. But if you hand him a specific restriction that says no lifting over 10 pounds, no extended standing, then you can take that restriction and say to your employer, these are the limits of what I can do. I cannot lift more than 10 pounds. If the employer refuses to honor the restriction, they have to send you home, and the workers' compensation carrier has to pay you for being out of work. So by the same token, if you are on restricted duty or if you are put out of work by the workers' compensation doctor, don't work any side jobs that you may have. And this, the last thing I want to point out is there is something called a functional capacity evaluation. And doctors order these all the time. But they're very subjective. They're done by physical therapists to gauge your ability to function. And they are very much a creature of what the doctor, the insurance company, and the physical therapist want for the outcome for you. Avoid these at all costs. If the doctor wants to do it and you're prepared to go back to work, tell him you don't need this test, because this test can be used to keep you from going back to work. These are just some of the things that you can do to protect yourself in the event that you're injured at work. Thanks for watching On the Job. I'm Arthur Kravitz.